Welcome back, Marvel Future Fighters. It's Trippy Cakes here, and today's video is how many CTP do you actually need? Now, the reason I'm doing this video is because in the community that I'm in, there's usually a little bit of a discrepancy when it comes to pulling from the RNG chest in the shop, and people are getting mad because they're like, hey, I'm spending this many crystals, I haven't gotten any. And I'm not going to talk about their drop rate or whether or not it is right. Basically, this is a video that's kind of a guide to tell you how many CTP you need if you're doing certain types of depending on what your focus is, pretty much, and you know, alternatives to CTP, because CTP, they're great, they really are, but with a lot of content you can honestly do without it. Now, me, I'm a whale, and you're gonna look at my roster and be like, well, if you don't need CTP, then why do you have so many? Well, me, like I said, I'm a whale. I'm trying to, you know, I don't know how to explain it. It's more of a collector thing for me. I want my characters to glisten, even if it's not even that much of an improvement, which in some cases, you know, a CTP does not improve a character any more than an obelisk would. Now, with that being said, basically, the characters that you're going to want a CTP on is going to break down between PvP, PvE, and then a PvE PvP hybrid. Now, with this, you shouldn't try to break your wallet to do this, but if your focus is to excel in alliance battle, basically, you need to have a character that's on free day with the CTP, and with that character, you're going to want to make sure it's a character that's going to be able to score cap on not only that day, but also, you know, any other assigned day, because there are some characters that have multiple days that they are useful on alliance battle, and that's going to save you CTP in that aspect of who to put it on if you have some, or if you're struggling to figure out, you know, what to do with the small amount of CTP that you acquired, depending on however you acquired it. So with the AB breakdown, these are just some characters that you're going to be able to use on multiple days. This ranges from 2 to 3 different days. Minerva, I believe she has 3 days, which are free day, combat, female day, and then I think female villain. So that's 3 days there. Cable has 2 days. He's still viable to use. Captain Marvel, she has 2 days. Captain America has 3 days. There's combat hero day, open day, female combat day. So there's that as well. Who else is usable? There's a lot. You're really just gonna have to look through the list and see, you know, what's gonna work for you. Now, throwing a CTP on somebody who only has 1 day, like a universal villain, if your CTP is scarce, it's probably not the best idea to put it on that character for that specific day. And you know, it's just a waste. You want to basically stretch out the CTP to where it gets more use to you than 1 day out of a 2-week span when it comes to alliance battle. As far as PvP goes, now with that's very, PvP it's a funny kind of thing, because not only is a CTP going to be a factor to your character, but an alternative to a CTP is you can roll an obelisk with guard break immunity on there, with invincibility, or recovery with invincibility, and a proc on damage hit or healing. There's different things. A lot of people forget that these obelisks are a lot of times very good to use instead of a CTP. Right now, looking at, you know, my Wolverine with how I have him, I'm still using an obelisk because I don't think it's worthwhile to switch out a CTP until I figure out 100% sure what I'm going to do with him. So in terms of PvP, there aren't a lot of, you know, CTP that are going to give you that invincibility. You're going to have authority, transcendence, and what else gives invincibility? I thought, does regeneration doesn't give that. But yeah, so you don't have a lot of choices for invincibility, but when it comes to PvP, invincibility is a really like must-have kind of thing when you start getting to higher tiers of stuff. So basically, my way of saying is you don't need CTPs. You don't need a whole lot of them. I think you can manage with about 5 or 6 of them, and there are plenty of ways to obtain some for free. Like if you save up your crystals from doing your timeline battles and the things that they give you for daily check-ins and all that other kind of stuff, eventually you'll have enough for a pack for, like, I think it was like Black Panther or something like that. There is one that has a CTP selector. You can use that as well. There's just different ways to obtain it, as well as World Boss Ultimate, or Ultimate World Boss, however you want to say it. I say UWB. Anyway, you go in there, you get these chests, you might get one, but you know, truthfully, you got the same RNG of that free chest that you do going and pulling in the shop. Now, some people were saying, hey, you know what? It's been too expensive trying to roll for CTP in the shop. Well, that's the point. The point of these things is they're not supposed to be something that everybody's supposed to just have a shit ton of, excuse my French, a crap ton of. That's not really, that takes away the purpose of the CTP. If people are willing to pay for this rare thing, then there's going to be a chance that they don't get anything. Now, one guy was telling me that there are people spending $200 and $300 on rolls. Now, let me just break this down mathematically for you. So, $300 worth of crystals is 36,000 crystals. Keep that in mind, 36,000, okay? Now, with that, you can do a total of 53 pulls, which is 530 gears that you're going to get. And out of 530 gears, if you're not pulling any CTP or you only pull like 2, then you need to not do this anymore. Just have some self-control. I know how tempting it is to press that button over and over to hopefully get yourself a CTP, but it really, I'm not saying that, hey, you know what, Netmarble is great for doing this. No, the rates are terrible, but we're even more terrible because we're going into this. We keep pressing that button. If you got crystals to blow like that, do 2 or 3 pulls, maybe a day. You know, try your pulls at different times. I don't think it actually does anything, but you never know with this kind of stuff. You might get lucky. Like me, I won't do any pulling unless there are multiple CTP that you can get with a higher increased chance. And then you also have to realize that anything over, you know, the CTPs that you have put on characters to get past what you're already doing is a novelty. So you got to learn to not be greedy. And if you got enough CTP for what you're doing now to get what you want, then there you go. And then an alternative to pulling CTP is once a character falls out of meta, or if you're realizing, hey, I got a CTP on this character I don't use, 600 crystals to remove, I think, or is it 325? I don't even remember, but I know it's less than pulling 10 times, or it's less than pulling the times 10 in the store, and you guarantee to have that freaking CTP that you know that you have. So just pull that off of a character that you don't use anymore, slap it on somebody else, save yourself the headache of the RNG. So this is just how I feel about it, man. So, you know, there you go. If you're new here, please do like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You know, how do you feel about this CTP thing? Do you think that you have enough for what you need to do? I'm out.